Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of our Thrive in China Roundtable. We are near to the end of our 2023 Roundtable events, and we're closing off today with a very exciting topic. Now, for those of you that have joined before, this slide won't pertain to you, but for all of those newcomers, if you are a newbie to China, if you're a startup in China, if you're an experienced China hand, please do let us know. I know that Joe, my colleague, is sending out emails to figure out who is in our audience, what stage of your China journey are you in? And this will help us gear towards new topics for 2024. If you don't know who I am, my name is Christina Kohler-Colucci. I'm the head of business advisory at Woodburn Accountants and Advisors. I'm a leading expert on inbound investment to China. I have 20 years of experience in the corporate administration, corporate service, and corporate governance world. I've helped over 750 companies with their market entry into China. That's everything from pre-investment advisory. So what are the types of business models that you're looking at setting up, all the way through implementing those business models and then focusing on the growth and scaling phase. If you haven't received our ebook, please do get a free copy of our ebook, The 10 Biggest Mistakes Companies Make in China. Just email me at christina@woodburnglobal.com. So we are hitting Roundtable 31, which is 10 reasons foreign investors fail in the Chinese market. So let's go cracking with the 10 reasons. The first reason is the refusal to adapt. What we need to understand is that we are heading into a new culture, a new market, a territory with a language that perhaps we are not familiar with as well. Now, as I don't know if you guys are fans of The Office. I am. Basically, if it ain't broke, don't fix it is a common philosophy that a lot of foreign investors have. Let us use the business model that we've created in India. Let us use the business model that we've created in Brazil. Let us use the business model that we have created in the US. Basically, they are replicating and imitating business models that they've used to expand in other jurisdictions. When you go to China, you can start off by using a similar business model, but you have to be open to the idea of adaptation. I always believe in the Japanese philosophy of Kaizen. There's always room for improvement. In fact, 1% of improvement per day is already getting to another level of success. So as a leader, be open to adapt your business model, be open to adapt to the culture, to the language, to everything that is going around you. You have to have a flexible mindset and flexible execution in order to be able to succeed in the market. Reason number 2, too much detail or too little involvement in the detail. Now, as your business becomes more established in China, it is really important to spend more time working on the business rather than in the business. I think it's great for people to place focus in the business during the startup phase, where you're trying to work out standard operating procedures, trying to work out the foundation of the business, and you want to have a solid foundation in order to be able to grow and excel. But the key is that you want to grow and excel, and you can't be involved in every single aspect of your business. You need to be able to delegate to your team members, to individuals within your ecosystem. So make sure that you spend time on the business and how to grow and how to scale versus focusing so much on the nitty-gritty details. Of course, a lot more involvement should be spent in the early stages of your establishment so that you have that proper foundation. Reason number 3 is insufficient care when hiring. Now, a business in China is only as good as its people. In fact, I just did a podcast recording with a partner of mine where this was ultimately their conclusion as well. They have only been successful in China over the last 8 years because of the solid individuals that are working in their company as executives. So I want you all to remember this. Do the employees that you have today in China, do they have the talent, the creativity, the inclination to take your business forward, to help you grow and scale? The podcast that I did today, it was amazing how much transparency and clarity this foreign investor has provided to his executive team, actually to all employees. They have about 70 employees in China, and they know the P&L, they know the forecast. Each department has its own P&L, and the executives themselves are responsible for coming up with ideas, hitting targets, and maintaining. They have a sense of accountability and responsibility. This is what you should be looking at when you are looking to hire your local team. I also was talking to a client of mine yesterday about having an employee on its payroll for the last 18 months and actually only garnering a salesperson and only garnering 2 new contracts in 18 months. And obviously he said, I can't keep the guy. I like the guy. I get on really well with the guy, but there's just no reason for me, no professional reason for me to keep the guy if he is not hitting targets and reaching goals. So sometimes you have to make difficult decisions. And the key is that you do need to rock the boat when it comes to the people. Don't have fear of rocking the boat. Always, always think about having the right fit within your organization. And remember, every single one of these individuals, these executives, needs to have the same vision of you of growing and expanding the business. And the more transparency and clarity you give them, the more inclination they're going to have to be able to grow and scale the business. Reason number 4 is number blindness. And funnily enough, again, in this podcast, one of the realizations or conclusions that we made was that a lot of times people can't read numbers, whether it's to be able to analyze the business, whether it's be able to do the financials. There is very little training going to the finance team or even to the individuals within the department to know how to read a P&L, to go into the details of the P&L. And the issue of not having the right individuals within your team or outsourced team to aid you in the analytical work is that you are then going to make the wrong decisions based on what you're being told is the analysis of your company. One of the things my guest speaker was talking about is in the cross-border e-commerce world that a lot of the different parties do not provide clear data in relation to the business. And, it's obvious. How can any individual make clear decisions if they don't have the right data at their fingertips? So for me, a good CFO in China could be one of the most important hires you do. Doesn't have to be a CFO, could also be a senior analyst, but somebody who is proactive enough to give you red warnings, provide you with suspicions, but also help you to analyze the data. The 5th reason is looking at market assumptions. It pays to know your market. It's the difference between your route, that will be the route to market, and your success, okay? I had a really interesting, I've been having a lot of client meetings, but I had a really interesting meeting yesterday morning with a client of mine who is in the food and beverage sector, and he just joined the FHC trade show, which is one of the biggest food and trade shows in Shanghai. And it's the first time they've exhibited in the Chinese market. And his comments were, first of all, it's extremely different exhibiting in China compared to exhibiting in Europe. And he said the main difference is that in Europe or in the US, these trade shows are closed off to the public, whereas in China, trade shows are actually open to the public. So when you have this food and trade show, probably about 60 to 70% of the people who come to your booth are consumers, not necessarily wholesalers or distributors, etc. And he said, so we were shocked by this realization, but also it was great because we were able to see and interact with consumers directly at our trade show who were actually drinking and eating our samples and having direct feedback about our products. But it also gave them the opportunity then to meet distributors. At the same time, they were able to meet with packaging companies, labeling companies, people that could help them become more cost efficient in regards to their supply chain. Just going to one trade show has garnered them tremendous market assumptions that when we went on to our strategy call about strategizing for 2024, they have to relook at their business model, relook at their hiring strategy, because they feel that according to the current climate, they have to adapt. So one, they're opening up and listening to the market by going to this trade show. They had market assumptions, and now they're realizing by being on the ground that they have to change them. So they're adapting. All right, that's one of the principles I was talking about in reason one, is you have to be able to adapt to the market and be flexible and to respond like that, right? We are mid of November and they have less than 6 weeks to re-optimize their strategy for 2024 so that they can launch accordingly January 1st. And that includes reevaluating the type of people they need, what positions they need. It's reevaluating who they're going to work with, and can they outsource most of the functions to those partners. So it really does pay to know your market. If they had not been at this trade show, if they had not been exhibiting, they wouldn't have had this insight, and they would have led with market assumptions that are not current for today. So it really does pay to know your market. Most companies who don't listen to the market, who don't understand the market, who are not doing more analysis around the market, are the ones who are going to pay more out of their budget in order to pivot and switch. So make sure you're listening. Reason number 6 is control freak leadership. You need to be able to empower not only the staff that you're going to hire, but also empower the partners that you're going to be collaborating with. Okay. Now, again, I'm highlighting the podcast that I did today because this is exactly where this guest speaker has completely avoided this mistake of control freak leadership. In fact, he's gone to the absolute extreme where he has said that he has now, out of a team of 78 executives that are general partners within the organization, who are leading departments and leading teams and have their own P&Ls. They have their own accountability and their own responsibility. We all have the same vision. We have all the same ideas about how we want to grow and scale. Now it's up to these executives to implement, execute, track, and make sure we're on the right path and direction. This allows him now to become more of an investor and think more strategically about how the business is evolving. And he mentioned to me that their main objective in 2024 is in the tech sector, and how can they advance the technologies within their organization that they beat out their competitors, but that they're also more tech focused, tech centered, like the market is currently demanding. Okay. Control freak leadership is something that I absolutely suffered on when I first started out in China. I was scared to delegate, thinking that the people I had hired weren't going to do a good job. And actually I was right, because the people that I hired weren't right for the company and were not a right fit for our organization. I think so far, with all the guest speakers I've spoken to on my podcast, the conclusion is, when it comes to employees, we all start off making mistakes with our employees, whether it's not delegating enough, whether it's controlling too much, whether it's not firing the people on time. Managing a team in China is not easy. In fact, it's quite labor intensive. But once you have a system in place that suits you and suits your leadership style, that's how you're going to move forward and be successful in China. Reason number 7 is marketing bias. Now, you have to be prepared in China to spend a significant portion of your budget on marketing in order to be able to educate the Chinese population on who you are, why your product is innovative, why your product has quality over all the others that are in the market. Okay. Now, if you want to be taken as a serious company, serious organization, you have to act and portray yourself as one as well. Now, I've spoken on my podcast to around 3 different marketing organizations, and I always ask this question: what is that magic number that companies want to hear when they ask, what should our marketing spend be in China? And the consensus is, for everybody, it is wrong to allocate one number. It is actually an analytical exercise. First of all, what is your expectation in the market? What do you want to achieve? What are your goals? What are your targets? When you understand what your targets are, You can then, through an algorithm, figure out then what should be your marketing spend. The question is, do you have the financial resources for that marketing spend? Do you want to spend that much money to hit those goals? That's then talking to the marketing strategist to analyze them. But it also comes from you to make that decision. So it then becomes a balancing act. Do we need to lower our expectations? Do we need to then lower the cost? It all comes hand in hand to create then a balance between what you're expecting and what you're spending. Okay, there is no magic number, but there is a marketing bias in China in terms of what you should be doing. Reason number 8 is around cultural diversity. Now, as a business owner, you are your company. And therefore, not only does your company and your products have to adapt to the market, but you have to adapt to the Chinese market. Remember that you need to be open to the culture. You need to be open to trying new things and adapting yourself to the business culture that exists in China. Also, don't forget to portray yourself more as a business owner in China, that people reach out to you for business deals. You are a marketing tool as well, being that you are the business owner or the entrepreneur. So make sure you are being seen as such, not only to wholesalers and distributors, but also to consumers. You can also educate them on why your products are of the best quality. And it's a great marketing tool as well. So don't underestimate what value you can bring as the entrepreneur, the business owner, to your Chinese business, and make sure you are open to trying. If you are not open to trying new foods, new cultures, etc., how do you expect your team or people within your ecosystem to equalize themselves against you? They're not, right? They might look down at you. So that's something we want to avoid. Reason number 9 is market assumptions, right? Sharing is caring. Again, we talked about market assumptions earlier, but I want to share this in the form of creating a collective vision. When I started my business in China, I hid everything from my team. I didn't want to tell them what our targets were. I didn't want to tell them what my P&L was. I was so scared of staff turnover that I didn't tell them anything about our strategy, marketing plans. In fact, they found out things as they happened. This is not the way you should be running a business. You want your team to be on the same page as you. So the key is creating a collective vision, as actually my guest speaker did, creating a collective vision where everybody knows the company's numbers, everybody understands what the key targets and goals are, you're sharing everything, and you're creating this collective vision, this collective team that is gearing you towards success. And most importantly, something that also came out from today's conversation was it also helps you to retain employees. So one of the things that we highlighted was by sharing more, it gets the employees as part of the company family that they don't really want to leave. They like that stability to stay within the company. Of course, you need to be paying them well. You need to be valuing the effort that they put within the company. You know, you have to show you have to show what's coming out of the hard work. But if you do treat them fairly like this, they are going to stay. They're going to become part of this family dynamic, and they're not going to want to leave. So it also helps you to retain those employees. The last reason foreign investors fail in China is fear. And this obviously has been a big thing during COVID. However, I have definitely seen this fear being alleviated throughout 2023 since the borders have been opened. I think one of the biggest things that any China experienced hand can say is that nobody built their business in China alone. You need help to build your business and be successful. You need help to be able to have support when things don't go well or when you hit an obstacle. You need help to get ideas on how you can work things out. So get help, build that ecosystem, build that network. Networking is vital in China. You need to meet as many people as possible to then see what is actually coming about and who can help you and at what point can they help you. So having that solid ecosystem, that network. So one of the exercises I definitely recommend people to do is to reevaluate their network. Where do you need people? Where do you need to meet people? What industry, sector, or service do you need to help support your business? So make sure you have this solid ecosystem in place and have multiple people in one category. Don't work with just one headhunter. Have numerous headhunters within your network that you can always backtrack and work with different people. Another top tip for today that I want to leave you all with is that knowledge is power. For me, knowledge was gained through experience. I did not have a mentor. I did not have a coach, and webinars and seminars were not really that popular, or at least we were not flooded with them as we are today. Building up your knowledge about China is going to help you to leverage negotiations, and it's also going to help you to avoid the most common mistakes. So the more you listen to war stories and learn from the people that have gone through the hardships of building up a business in China, the greater success you're going to have, because you're going to learn how to differentiate yourself and how to avoid many of those obstacles that come along your pathway. Today, talking again to my guest speaker was fascinating because his first entrepreneurial endeavor in China was a joint venture, but a very complex business that needed government assistance. It needed a variety of things. After 1 year, it failed. And his takeaway from that 1 year experience was, I want to create a business that is simple, that is simplified, that I can manage, where there are not all of these nogs in this wheel, these bolts, right, in this wheel that I have to manage and make happy, and so that I can actually be involved in and on the business. And he did exactly that. So stay tuned for that. Please do go over to our Apple podcast, Thrive in China, because there are all of these war stories that are listed there, and they're amazing. Again, 10 reasons why foreign investors fail in China, right? I've gone through those 10 reasons. And a lot of those reasons are individualistic. They pertain to the people that are venturing to China to build up this business. And I wanted to finish off with a bit of the positivity around, what do you need to be a successful leader in China? The first thing is vision. You need to have a vision on what you're going to build and what you're going to grow. And you need to share that vision with your team, with your ecosystem, so that they can get excited and that they're willing then to help you. You need to talk with passion. You need to be passionate about the market. You have to be able to show joy and excitement about the market. If you are always in this negative realm, and it's difficult. I know it's currently difficult. There's a lot of media out there where you're reading articles about foreign investors exiting China, about foreign investors not reinvesting in the market. There is a downturn in the economy. It's very clear for everybody to see that. I don't think these media articles are exaggerating, but I also don't think it's the reality of the situation. Yes, there are companies that are not succeeding and are exiting the market, but it does not mean that it's due to the economy. It could be that they have not innovated their products, and hence there's no interest, right? There's so many other reasons why a company is not successful in China. Could be because of the leader, could be because they haven't innovated their products. Again, another reason might be the economy, but it's not just because of the Chinese government that people are exiting the market. There is going to be a full list of why people are leaving or why they've not been successful. So yes, there is negativity. Yes, the market has gone down. I will, however, say that the market is still higher than what it is in Europe, right? And you need to have a passion. And people are looking now to expand. They are looking to expand into interesting markets, and China will forever be an interesting market. So make sure you're passionate about it. The next is walking the talk. It's all well and good to have a vision and to strategize about it, but not to execute. So whatever you are promising in your vision and whatever goals, you've got to then create step-by-step execution plans that you're hitting these goals and these targets and you're hitting your vision. So make sure you walk the talk and it's not just blah, blah. The fourth one is communication. You need to be able to communicate properly with your team and with your ecosystem, okay? There are different modes and methodologies to be able to communicate. If you're using WeChat, all well and good. Just make sure you don't transfer sensitive information through that. Remember, WeChat is a personal account, not a company account. If people leave their companies, they still have this data on their WeChat apps. So figure out what your communication policy is, but make sure you maintain communication and you maintain relationships. And last but not least, anybody who goes to China, anybody who is in China, obviously needs and has courage. You need to be courageous enough to go into the market and realize it is a complex market. Things have gotten a lot easier over the last 20 years that I've been there, but I have perspective and hindsight. For those of you who are new, obviously it's a very overwhelming and very large market. So definitely you need courage to go. Everybody needs courage to go. It's better to have courage though than fear. And just finishing off today, a quote by Sun Tzu: "A leader in China leads by example, not by force." And this is again, quite a big mistake that companies or foreign investors do, is that they, again, don't adapt, they don't listen, and they just tell people to do, and it's the wrong actions that are taking place. You need to be able to listen, go on the ground, visit the market, understand the market, and lead by example in terms of being fair, equal, culturally diverse, accepting cultural diversity in order to be able to succeed. So that's the end of today's presentation. It's very short and sweet, less than half an hour. Sometimes it's good to have these shorter episodes, these shorter roundtables. If you do have any questions, please do insert them into the chat box. And as usual, I always love to hear what people's takeaways have been. If you would like to have more advice or would like to have more of a one-to-one, in the email I'll be sending out later today, please do schedule a free 30-minute discovery call, and I will see whether I can be of any assistance to you. Last but not least, this is my QR code. One of the reasons I tell people they fail in China is because they don't network enough. If you wanted to network with me, sign up. My ID is KNCOLUCCIA. And then I'll also add you into the Thrive in China WeChat community, which is a community of over 300 business professionals that are giving each other advice about doing business in China. So it's a great community. Please do take advantage of that. Last but not least, we have 4 more sessions this year. Next week, we're going to be talking about audit and tax compliance requirements in China for the fiscal year 2023. That will happen in 2024. We need to start these processes now. So I want to provide you insight on what these processes are, what are those deadlines, and what you need to think about in terms of auditors, in terms of actually the procedures that are moving on. So if you are registered for these roundtables, just click on the link and you will get immediately brought into the Zoom. Otherwise, if you have colleagues who might be interested in this, please do send them the registration link. That's the end of today's presentation. I want to thank you all for joining me, and I hope to see you again soon. Take care and goodbye.